Hello, again, this is Tamara Grant for Women in Shoes magazine, and tonight I have the pleasure of having Ms. Rhonda Thompson on the line with me. Rhonda, how are you doing this evening?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no problem, no problem. So we're going to get right into it. I want you to, as always with all of my interviews, I like for everybody to give their social media sites, their websites, and their contact information so everybody that has logged on to this interview can follow and just kind of look at that while we're talking.
Okay, sure. So I actually have two Facebook pages. One is Rhonda A. Thompson. Then I have the Rose of Sharon ATL Facebook page as well, which is my domestic violence organization. My website is www.ros, as in Sam, atl.org. You can also follow us on Instagram at roseofsharon_ATL or Rhonda A. Thompson on Instagram as well.
Okay, awesome. So since you mentioned Rose of Sharon first, we are going to get started there. Tell us a little bit about Rose of Sharon, the transitional living for women.
Yeah, so Rose of Sharon, Transitional Living for Women, we call it Rose of Sharon for short because it is quite a long name, but Rose of Sharon is it's an organization that we currently provide supportive services to women and children involved in domestic violence. And usually these people are reaching out to us when they have not been able to locate shelter or some resources that they need in the interim of fleeing a domestic violence situation. We're kind of the last resort. So then we go and try to help fill those gaps wherever we can, be it continue to look for shelter or, probably provide hotel stay for a woman and her family until we can locate shelter or food, clothing, whatever it is that we are able to help with while they're in that transition. That's what we offer. But the foundation of what we are going to be doing is offering housing. Thus is the name Transitional Living. We want to be able to not only bring awareness to domestic violence and provide amazing services, we want to be able to be that safe haven that women and children can come to when they are fleeing their abusers. So we are in our building campaign and raising money to get our doors open to be able to actually be another shelter here in the city of Atlanta to offer that additional service, which is one of the greatest needs across the country. There's always a waiting list or there's never bed space. I mean, we hear it all the time. So we want to fill that need, is to be able to provide housing.
How would a woman access your services?
Simple. Social media has been great with spreading the word. We often do different type of fundraising events that are pretty fun and interactive and community-based. So we get, by word of mouth, it might be social media, someone stumbles up on us, on the website or on the internet, but all they have to do is simply call and tell us, they have a need. Unfortunately, we're not global yet, meaning we're not in other cities that we can, offer those services. But if you're in the state of Georgia, we can definitely help find the resources that you need to get you out of that situation.
So kind of on the flip side of that, because we're talking about the women that need to access the services, but how about if you wanted to volunteer your time or as far as employment, working there for the organization? What kind of people are you employing there, and do you accept volunteers?
We're not on a payroll status yet. Everybody is a volunteer. So our team is growing. Everybody is volunteering their services, and we do need volunteers. We need laborers. We need people that, because we have so many different things that we do, it can get kind of heavy all on one person or sharing the duty between a couple of people. But yes, that's actually a really great question. They can simply call us. Our number is 678-322-8NEW, N-E-W, and or email us, info@rosatl.org, and say, hey, I would like to volunteer. Actually, if you go to the website, there's a form that you can go on and submit your inquiry to volunteer. Eventually, when we get our facility open, we will be looking to hire. One of the first positions we'll be looking to fill is a house manager, someone that will stay on site, overnight, as well as someone to answer our phones and do intakes and things like that. But yeah, we haven't quite gotten to the point of any payroll yet, but definitely volunteering. A lot of times we get volunteers and people that to in-kind their service because they have been affected by domestic violence, or someone they know has been affected by domestic violence. 1 in 4 women will experience it in their lifetime. So if someone is listening to this radio interview, if they have not experienced it or known anybody, just live long enough. It'll happen. It will be you, or it will be somebody you know. We all have been touched by it, and I do get a lot of people that want to give of their talents because it's something that's near and dear to their heart.
And that's a good direction to go with this, because it is something that is so very prevalent. Mm-hmm. Can you give us just even a few signs? Because sometimes, I think people think it's very cut and dry. Mm-hmm. They, okay, this is what a victim of domestic violence looks like. But I think sometimes there are some subtle signs that maybe we miss, or maybe some triggers or red flags that, maybe we miss because we're looking, just at the bigger, more explosive behaviors. So can you give us maybe some triggers or some subtle behaviors that could, maybe eventually develop into the bigger behaviors?
Sure, and actually I can take this in 2 ways. I'm going to give you the signs that you can look out for in someone else, and then for your own self. For someone that is experiencing domestic violence, first of all, is not always physical. It very rarely is physical first. It starts out with, arguing, and we all argue. We in our relationships, people argue, but there's a difference when the arguing makes that other person feel less than a person, and it's in a way that's so intimidating and controlling that the victim, whether it's a male or female, walks away feeling, completely that this person is going to hurt them because of the violent tone in the arguing. So arguing, it can start there. Name calling, pushing, jealousy is a big sign. Isolation. Your partner is, trying to isolate you and keep you away from your friends or family, or going through your phone, your social media, trying to find out where you've been, who you're talking to. That whole jealousy explosion that does happen in relationships, and then from there, it can go into a simple push, a slap, a pulling of the hair, anything that can. Again, it's an escalation. And then you got the honeymoon phase where, I'm so sorry, I love you, I really didn't mean that. And then he or she wants to believe it, and they let their guard down, get back in, and then the escalation starts again. So this cycle is a continual thing. But I really believe it starts out with chiseling away at the self-esteem. For someone that is looking at as an onlooker and wondering, oh, I see this lady in the grocery store and something is odd about her behavior. She could seem withdrawn, eyes, kind of looking away or not, really engaging. You can't always, put that in the situation too, but if you kind of look at her surrounding and if there's a man that's walking around, and it's an energy thing too. I think when you're looking at someone that you don't know, but then for someone that you do know, when he or she calls and their behavior is kind of nervous, they're kind of nervous that, oh gosh, he just called and I'm not going to be able to do this. And, we really have to pay attention to, how our loved ones express that they are being hurt. Then, they're afraid to tell you, I'm being abused. So they're often kind of giving subtle hints like, he's going to be mad at me. And, okay, people get mad, but there's a difference in the tone or the disposition. She's seeming very eager to please him and really, and again, it can be tricky because it's good to want to please your mate. It's, you don't want to say, oh, wow, someone is being abused because they want to please their mate. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there's a nervous energy that goes with this type of abuse. And then, she may say things like he's violent or, it's not going to be a good night, and things like that can make you want to probe for additional information. There's the black dot campaign that's going on where you put the black dot in the center of your hand. Some people do it, some people don't. I've seen on the internet one young lady said the black dot almost got her killed. So her abuser seen the black dot, and so that's a catch-22, because it's not a secret anymore, because it's all over the internet. So it is tricky, but you have to be sensitive if the behavior looks odd from your loved one or your friend or someone that you see. I've had women call me recently, like about 4 different women. Rhonda, I just left the bank, and I gave this lady your number. Something didn't seem right. The man was, he was arguing, though, yelling at the woman, and he walked away. And the lady gave her phone number, said, you don't have to take that. Give me a call. She took the phone number and called later and did divulge that she was being abused. So, and I was like, wow, good for you that you picked up on that, and this was a complete stranger. But she saw his behavior and how it made the victim feel. She could tell her countenance was just low, so.
Those are really interesting signs, and I've never heard of the Black Dot campaign, but I love that with social media we're able to really raise awareness, number one, and get the word out, and really spread the word about triggers, signs, things for people to look for. So I like that you broke it down that way. Things that you could look for yourself and things that you could look for maybe with a family member or a loved one, because those 2 things are important.
Yeah.
Now, you're an author as well, so tell us a little bit about, your book that you have out.
So it is still in production. The book is called Don't Spill the Tea. This is my life story as well as a self-help guide for those that have suffered from abuse and kind of empowerment and to help them find ways to cope and to strengthen their own inner man. So this book has been it's been almost 20 years that I should have wrote it, but I'm excited. I'm excited that I'm hoping that it will be in my hand this spring. So we are still working on that, but it is an amazing story. It's a great journey for me to actually be able to finally put pen to paper and spill the tea.
Well, and you know what? Don't be too hard on yourself on that. I know you're not, but those sometimes when those books are our life story and our life experience, we have to kind of live it out before we can finish it and write it and actually, because when you're writing your life story can be very therapeutic, and sometimes we have to go through all of those motions during that process. So good for you for putting that out and just, taking the time to go through those steps to get that done.
Yeah, there was times that I'm like, okay, I know I'm supposed to write this book, but then I will go through something in my life, and I'll say, oh, when I get through it, I say, oh, that's a chapter. That was for the book. It wasn't ready yet.
Exactly.
I had to get through that.
Exactly. That is such a truth because, when you write this book, there are going to be so many people that you are going to help and that you're going to heal through your experience. So nothing that you'll have gone through will have been in vain. Yeah.
It's almost ready, but it's been a journey, and some days I don't feel like writing, and I don't force it. It has to come naturally, and when it comes, I can write for 8-10 hours just sitting there, just all day writing.
Yes. The writer in me understands that creative process. So, yeah. So give us your websites and contact information once again before we wrap.
Oh, sure. The website is www.rosatl.org. You can follow us on social media at Rhonda A. Thompson. Also, Rose of Sharon ATL on Facebook, and on Instagram it's Rhonda A. Thompson and Rose of Sharon ATL _. We're also on Twitter. They're all connected. The same names.
Okay. That's good, and I love when it's all the same name because then that way everybody can easily find you as well. And then if you have the shelter, the number for people who want to volunteer their time and their efforts, if you could give that to us one more time as well.
Sure. It's 678-322-8 NEW, NEW. Also, next week, Saturday, we are having a panel discussion. I'm so excited about it. February 20th from 1 to 5 p.m. It's on the website, but we're having a panel discussion with some ex-abusers as well as survivors. This is going to be amazing.
Wow. Okay. And can tell us what side of town that's going to be on for everybody that's in Atlanta.
Oh, sure. It's going to be at the Little Five Points Community Center, so right in Little Five Points area. If you go to the website, it's called Shame No More Panel, Domestic Violence Panel, and it's a free event. There's no charge, but I really wanted the public to be able to hear from some amazing survivors, but then also hear the side of the abuser, because I just believe that abusers don't want to abuse, but there's something underlining in them that I know statistically, but I want to hear from them. So that's going to be, I'm really excited about that. It's very hard to get abusers to want to stand up. So I'm really excited about these two courageous men that are going to step up and share their story as well.
And we need to hear that because a lot of times abusers have been abused and they
Absolutely.
have been a victim some way, somehow. So not necessarily, like a misery loves company thing, but I mean, just as humans, we need to understand that whole entire cycle and do what we can to help stop it. So that is going to be an awesome event. Like I'm really excited that you would, have the foresight to be able to put something like that together and that it's going to come together in that way.
Yeah, and you know what? Domestic violence is a learned behavior. So abusers do what they learned. That's the textbook format of it. But I want to hear from them what happened. Not on her. Don't blame it on her. And I don't want people to abuse them. We're not going to do that either. We're not going to attack them. We're going to let them speak. We're going to listen and learn and say, oh, okay, that was.
Well, that insight is going to be so very valuable because just sidebar, we do a lot of devaluing our men in society, and we don't teach them how to just express their feelings clearly. They're programmed to feel anger or feel happiness, and there's no in between, and they don't know how to, feel their emotions and process them, and use them appropriately. Because we should all feel anger at some point in time, but the way that you express that is usually what the issue is, and it's usually way beyond anger. So I love that you were able to get some people who are brave enough to come forward, because that's huge.
That is huge. Yeah, that's huge. I'm so honored that they accepted, and hopefully they'll show up. Don't get scared.
Show up and show out. But that's so huge to be able to open that dialogue and that discussion. So I hope that's something that y'all will be able to maybe video and put on YouTube, because with all the things that get passed around on social media that are so unnecessary and that are so, that are clogging our minds and things like that, I think that discussion there is one that deserves to, get as many hits as possible. So
yeah, we will have it videotaped, so it will be out there. Oh, yes.
Well, thank you, Rhonda, for joining us this evening. We really appreciate all the things that you're doing with Rose of Sharon, because it's huge, and it's something that we need in our society. So thank you so much for even for all of your efforts in that respect. And thank you for coming on with us this evening.
Yes, thank you for your support. You have an amazing evening. Thanks for having me as your guest.
No problem.